As a diehard Star Trek fan who has spent countless hours immersed in the rich tapestry of the franchise, I can wholeheartedly say yet yesterday's Enterprise is one of the most brilliant episodes ever crafted for Star Trek The Next Generation. The writers did an exceptional job of creating a believable and immersive alternate universe with subtle, yes, effective changes like the military logs and combat days, adding authenticity to the war-torn reality. In the 15th episode of Star Trek The Next Generation's third season, titled Yesterday's Enterprise, an alternate universe version of the USS Enterprise D made its appearance, displaying several differences on the being compared to its counterpart from the main universe. This episode is widely regarded as one of TNG's most outstanding moments, and is particularly notable for bringing back Denise Crosby's character Tasha Yar, before tragically taking her life once more. The episode commences with a compelling cold open, featuring a battle-scarred Enterprise C emerging from a rift in space-time, causing a ripple effect on the Enterprise D and plunging the Federation into war with the Klingons, with the Enterprise D serving as the first Galaxy-class warship. Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, continues leading the Starship Enterprise, yet he seems drained and strangely troubled regarding the Enterprise C. An away team discovers an injured Captain Rachel Garrett Tricia O'Neill on the bridge of the Enterprise C, prompting her to suspect something is off. Picard discloses that Garrett and her ship have journeyed 22 years ahead into that future, and the captain of Enterprise C eventually consents to return to the past to rectify the timeline. With an intriguing plotline and captivating guest characters, nearly every aspect yesterday's Enterprise excels, and the alterations in the Enterprise D significantly enhance the narrative. When the Enterprise D's bridge initially shifts, the most noticeable alteration is the modification in illumination. Unlike the original bridge that was brightly lit with warm white lights, giving it to a cozy vibe, this new version is marked by its dimness, reduced ambient light, and blue overhead lighting instead of white. The altered lighting on the bridge creates an atmosphere of heightened intensity, suggesting that the Enterprise D is constantly in a state of readiness. Additionally, the ship's overall illumination has been subdued, giving everything a more serious utilitarian appearance. The layout of the ship's bridge has been rearranged, with Captain Picard now seated at a higher position, surrounded only by empty chairs on the command deck. Commander William Riker, Jonathan Frakes, continues to serve as first officer, but is stationed at the tactical post instead of being next to Picard. The bridge also features additional consoles. Hint that this version of the Enterprise D boasts enhanced weaponry and tactical capabilities compared to its predecessor. Furthermore, Captain Picard's ready room undergoes a transformation as well, now darker and devoid of any personal items or mementos belonging to him. After Captain Picard and his fellow crew members of the Enterprise D sport updated uniforms that have a more military aesthetic, featuring wider collar bands and cuff sleeves. A key addition to these uniforms is the inclusion of weapon belts. These belts house Type 2 phasers, which stand out significantly compared to typical phaser belts used by the Enterprise D for crew during away missions. The most striking alteration in the new uniforms is undoubtedly the incorporation of these phaser belts, emphasizing just how intense the conflict with the Klingons has become. The phaser belts worn by all officers on board the Enterprise D share a striking resemblance to those worn by the crew of the ISS Enterprise from Star Trek: The Original Enterprise series, specifically Episode 10 of Season 2, titled Mirror, Mirror. Given that both the original Enterprise D and the alternate universe version depicted in yesterday's Enterprise were constructed for complex during periods of conflict, it's logical to assume a resemblance. Fortunately, unlike their counterparts in the nearer universe, the crew members of the alternate Enterprise D are not characterized by unnecessarily cruelty or excessive sexual behavior. Instead of the usual red and yellow warnings, the Warship Enterprise employs battle alerts with either a condition of yellow or red. As Captain Picard and his crew are always on high alert, they would only declare a ship-wide alert when the ship is preparing for combat. Shortly after the Enterprise D contacts them, Ensign Wesley Pressure, Will Wheaton, informs Picard that Klingon battle cruisers have been detected moving towards them. And in simpler terms, Captain Picard does not issue a full-scale battle warning, condition red on screen. Instead, he arrives from the Enterprise C right when the initial attack occurs. Since this happens, it's probable that Commander Riker would have declared the alert status initially. Consequently, the Enterprise D might have maintained battle alert status for the remainder of the episode to support the retreat of the Enterprise C. On the new warship Enterprise, the crew has adapted to eating differently due to power constraints. Although food replicators are present, they're running on minimal power, which allows for more energy to be channeled towards weapons and shields. When Lieutenant Tasha Yar drops by 10 forward, she requests a few TKLs from Dynan, explaining that she would be and Lieutenant Richard Castillo of the Enterprise C are in a bit of a rush. And when Castillo inquires about the meaning of the TKL, Yar clarifies that they're basic rations, as she discusses the workings of the food replicators, even in an advanced of the society, like the 24th Century Federation. War-strained resources and soldiers often forego luxuries. The episode Yesterday's Enterprise does not disclose what TKL stands for, and it is plausible that they have no particular meaning at all. In the backdrop of numerous scenes aboard the Enterprise D during Yesterday's Enterprise, there are security personnel subtly present. Equipped with their standard phaser belts, these officers can be seen be stationed at almost every entrance and door on board, including in sickbay. It seems that the warship Enterprise has a larger crew than the original version, as the ship appears overpopulated and bustling at all times. In 10 forward and the corridors, there's an abundance of activity. Crew members rushing about to their posts, others taking brief respites amidst the ongoing conflict, while silent sentinels stand guard everywhere. The atmosphere is filled with heightened noise levels, chatter, engine hums, and background din, all creating a jarring contrast. Rather than a peaceful sanctuary for families and civilizations, the Enterprise appears as a perpetually battle-ready warship. In several episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation, Captain Picard regularly logs events in a captain's log. However, in the episode Yesterday's Enterprise, things take a different turn. As soon as the Enterprise C emerges from the wormhole, Picard switches to a military log and refers to the Enterprise D as a warship instead. He also labels the date as a battle date, rather than a standard star date. In a second military log, Picard notes that Tasha Yar has been transferred to the Enterprise C, and warrants of multiple Klingon battlecruisers are approaching both spacecraft. Modifying captain's logs to military reports and swapping star dates for combat dates might appear as minor adjustments, but they significantly enhance the authenticity and believability of the war-torn parallel series and the realities we're exploring. One such example is Picard addressing Riker as commander instead of number one, which hints at a more formal or strained relationship compared to their dynamic in the primary universe. These subchanges add depth, increase tension, and demonstrate the writer's commitment to creating a distinct and compelling alternate reality. The most significant alteration in the warship Enterprise involves Tasha Yar's return to her tactical post and Lieutenant Worf's absence, played by Michael Dorn. The concept behind Yesterday's Enterprise, it was initially conceived as a means to reintroduce Yar following her untimely demise in Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 1. Since the Federation is at war with Klingons, Worf would never have been born on Earth or joined Starfleet, creating an ideal opportunity for Tasha Yar to take his place. In the episode Yesterday's Enterprise, Tasha Yar experiences a heroic demise that stands out despite its subsequent contradiction through her half-Romulan daughter, Siwa. Yar becomes the leading lady in a tragic love story when she and Lieutenant Castillo find themselves instantly drawn to each other. After Guinan discloses Yar's bleak fate in the Prime universe, she gets to decide to confront her death bravely. Yesterday's Enterprise remains one of Star Trek The Next Generation's most revered episodes, due to the meticulous construction of the alternate universe warship as an Enterprise D, as well as the first into the Professor of Scandal